Whether you're a brand new player or a returning player to New World, I wanted to put together this guide to really help answer your questions about how do you level up in this game. What is the most efficient way and what's the fastest way that you can actually reach the level cap. And hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you happen to be new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and thanks so much for being awesome. And that's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments and extra greetings at the start of these videos. But this guide, we're gonna have some fun and I'm gonna talk about reduction of downtime, removing the friction that the game kind of puts in your way. Now, it's no secret that here in a couple of weeks from the time of this recording, a new player experience is going to roll out into the live servers, easing up that curve from 1 to 25, bringing in a main story, cutscenes, and more that I think is really going to be quite spectacular. Having played it, I have to say it really does bring out the best of this game, and I'm very excited to see what people's reactions are to it. But still, after that, after level 25, the game is still the game with some obviously adjustments here and there. And that's the focus of this. So you can use this guide before the new player experience rolls out to live or even after. If you guys have any feedback, always sound off in the comments below and we can update this as new methods are brought into place. But we're going to show off a couple things here. First and foremost, we're going to start with the map, because outside of if we turn on like faction influence, which is a PvP flag option in the game, you can always change your filters right over here on the left hand side. Zones that we're going to talk about, perhaps not the most efficient leveling aspects, are going to be the ones in white, even though they are beautiful zones and I do enjoy playing in them specifically. But before we do that, let's go ahead and turn back off our influence rating, and I want to focus in on the different zones themselves. If you look at the different names, like Everfall, you'll see a 1 to 25. Windsward, the similar 1 to 25. First Light, 1 to 25. You can see other zones here, 26 through some number that is hidden behind that teleport. Spot, Monarch's Bluffs, 1 to 25. You'll start getting into more endgame zones like Reekwater, 58 to 60 plus. Same things with Evanskill Reach. You'll see 52 to 60. This is where it's going to start to be important. So I don't know exactly where you are in your leveling experience, but just starting it off here with Everfall, moving into Brightwood, where you'll see 26 through 35. You can kind of use this as part of the MSQ as well, driving you into Brightwood, moving you over into Weaver's Fin at 30 to 40. In this case, is a good range. Restless Shore from 41 to 46. Up into Morningdale, I almost said Monarch's Bluff, 45 to 50. You can see Eden's Grove picking up 51 to 60, but we'll talk about why that's not going to be as effective for you. Great Cleave is going to be 41 to 50, and Shattered Mountain is going to be 60 plus for your level range. And all of a sudden, you can start kind of seeing kind of a general leveling path, kind of maybe popping back over here for you as you move through zone through zone. There's a lot of things that you can take advantage of in this game, so I'm going to give you guys that breakdown here. Now I'm going to jump over into kind of the idea behind this, into the concept of our faction missions first and foremost. Depending on what faction you pick, in my case I am Syndicate. Every town you'll find your various different faction vendor. Open up the faction board, and what I would recommend, if you feel dangerous, you can check a couple of the PvP missions. You will get 3 bonus missions a day, so you'll see the rewards actually drop after I've done 3 every day. Midnight-ish is the reset timer. You know that you can grab more. It also has a mission refresh that counts down as well, so you can just grab these as needed. I would pay attention to where it says elite. If you see any missions that have the elite word in them, that means you really want to bring a party. And depending on what level zone you are and your level, sometimes it is beneficial to bring friends with you, because that's just going to reduce so much downtime and so much friction potentially. But we can cover that more. Well, let's go ahead and just for examples, let me go ahead and grab all 3. I'm also going to in this video grab the 2 PvP missions. This will, if you do grab the PvP missions, it will turn off your fast travel options. If you do fast travel with any of the spirit shrines that you can unlock, you will cancel those PvP missions. So just kind of pick and choose what you want to do with that. Then I'm going to go over here to a town board project. Sometimes you'll find in these examples where certain things are not available. So I always encourage you, especially if you're leveling, to grab anything and everything when it comes to the town board. Here's the thing also, if you do not need XP and you're watching this video, evaluating it, I guess one way or the other, I don't know why you're here. You're awesome. Sound off in the comments below and let me know what you think. But you can use these as, honestly, shopping lists. You'll find that I'm grabbing fish oil and steel ingot hairs, and those two things will, or even coarse leather, these are now going to be marked in my inventory that they can be turned in. This is always going to tell me there's going to be demand for these items. So instead of actually acquiring these and turning them into the town board for 6.5 coins, or in this case, I think that's really what it's going for. Well, guess what? I would rather just put them up in the market and make a lot of money. So it just kind of helps remind me of ways that I can make money. So I use town boards actually kind of in an opposite, as a kind of a poor man's way of tracking market demands that could be out there. So that way I never end up letting something slip by the wayside. But that all being said, I'm going to point you to various different explorers needed town options. Now, typically you might find if the board is completely full, you might find 3 options of these. I want to grab these because then it comes down to a couple things. First things first, as I pull up my quests, you can start to see things starting to stack up. And this is where the reduction of downtime comes into play. Now, I've got my 2 PvP missions over here. I've got a mission for the faction here, and I also have some quests as well. Here in the north, I have my town board, and I would go ahead and pin that objective if I needed. And just basically what I would come in here and is actually just arrange my setup the way that I need to. Being that these 2 missions are actually really close to the Spirit Shrine, I would probably just ignore the fact that I have the PvP ones, maybe just abandon those or come back to those later at another date. You can see here 6 is also by a Spirit Shrine, and if you haven't unlocked the Spirit Shrines, obviously you're going to want to go and run and knock those out, but then essentially you now have the ability to easily pop in and pop back out. But in terms of returning right now on this town, I don't have the ability to recall to N, or I don't also own a house, and that's going to be kind of the first thing I want to drive you into. If you get an N, if you set your N to any of the main cities, I would honestly recommend that as a part of a hub. You just go to an N. Let me actually pull up the map and see if I can find the specific N out here. I've never actually set it in Evans scale. Looking at the different symbols, you find the N with the moon down here at the bottom, and it says not checked in. So if I wanted to go ahead and change my N room, I can do so by doing just that. So you have the ability to set your home point N at any particular town. So I'm going to go ahead and set it here in Reekwater. That's going to change that moon to kind of that golden moon crest. And then when I pull up my map itself, you can see here where I can find out which place I actually am at my N, which is right here. Now I can always recall to this on a 30-minute reset. The nice thing about it is that, let's say I actually do have a house over here in Morningdale. I can recall to my house whenever I want. I just have to actually pay a small Azoth fee, which essentially the game is going to reward you with so much of it now. In fast travel, sometimes it feels like it's free all the time. So you end up generally sitting around 800 to 1,000 Azoth all the time. So recalling to a house is actually very simple. And I would encourage you, as a general goal, to get a house. And to start getting a house, I think you just need a level 10 in any other region, and then you get better houses the more ranked up that you get in any specific region. So at the most part of it, that's going to be a massive reduction in just your downtime, being able to teleport out here, do these missions, maybe even then pop up and do something else, especially if they were stacking up. So you can see here missions are starting to stack up themselves, and thus I would actually then make my kind of approach, knocking out or trying to grab any and all quests so that things are within the same region. So I would prioritize wherever quests are the most of, and then essentially knock those out, return in, grab things again, even any kind of sub or side quest, which you can actually see there's a couple out here already by the different icons over people's heads, and grab those and just make sure that I'm trying to do as much as humanly possible within any given run, and then go back and turn in. So let's go ahead and actually jump over to Morningsdale just to kind of highlight something of an example for you. I'm going to use my house return, and this is the question you get. I will abandon those PvP missions, and I can go ahead at this time also unflag as once my PvP missions are in fact turned off specifically. So abandoning those is not actually that a problem because I hadn't put any work into them, but PvP missions can actually be very valuable for you. Here I am now at my house and I'm unflagged for PvP. And you know what you'll actually see here is that I actually have, it shows one mission available for turn in, but because certain town projects have been completed and I did have those items or quests knocked out and I just didn't get them turned in time, the game will still let you turn those in. That's why I always encourage you, no matter what you're doing, is to grab any and all town board items that you can. I'm going to go ahead and say complete all missions. It's going to say, hey, this is how much you're actually getting. Being that I'm level 60, this XP hits the floor, and thus you'll know that that's the feedback that I always give. Please let XP have a value at level 60 and you're going to make me very happy. But I am going to also get some town reputation. I can go ahead and accept, and then it can give me some new quests that are available. So I'm going to definitely be getting boars killed. So I might as well grab that, as it doesn't hurt me to do so. That's very important. And so then if I was going to do the same thing repeated over and over again, we can always just head out to a specific area or zone and start grabbing missions and basically prioritizing them as well. I think Brightwood's a great example, especially for new players coming in. Let's head out to Brightwood and let's see if they have any faction missions and if they have any town projects that I can grab and basically organize my zone. All right, so interestingly enough, Brightwood had nothing, but I was able to come out to Weaver's Fin and be able to grab a couple of the Explorer needed options, as well as just a handful of other things that I know are going to be useful for me. Now, I want to also at this time also encourage you to check out like Cooks Needed and any of the other crafting items. This always comes down to if you have the materials. These can have a decent amount of experience reward, but also really good territory standing as well. If you ever go and grab those, they'll show up in kind of the faction, piece of it. You want to go and make sure you got the items, and it basically helps also boost up that skill trade more than anything else. The other stuff ends up being more turn-ins, and so whether you want to go just buy those and then turn them in, or if you want to go find them for yourselves, either way, you're going to find the most profitable way is to be the guy who's providing themselves. But if you end up finding yourself just with tons of money, these are very quick to be able to acquire off the markets and turn in. And that's why, as somebody who's level 60, I get a lot of value out of that. Now, what I then think of this is in terms of routes. I think of routes when I do any of my gathering, and that's one of the series that I'm looking and trying to work on for you guys so that you can get the best routes for the materials that you need by zone or, I guess by trade. But you can see here, there's a couple what I would call routes to a region. You can run south and start with 6, go to 5, and then go over to 2, up to 4. Then you could come down as like a general route of turning all that in, then teleporting up here, doing a 1 and 3, and then doing a return. So you could set your home point, or you could buy a house here, and that's going to give you that quick turnaround so that you could just knock out as many quests as quickly as possible. Being that there is also a fast travel point here, grabbing the shrines, and as the game actually is about to have another round of updates, more shrines are going to be added, so being able to teleport around is going to be a huge help. Now, from the faction itself, I don't actually have a lot of little faction missions for PvP, but again, adding in the PvP options, you can see those here. I personally have selected all these to be tracked, and you can always do that by just like hovering over and then actually saying pin this objective, and that will reflect it in your UI so you can see exactly what is needing to be done. And then from here you can either teleport to wherever the nearest location is, start knocking those things out, and then just come up with a nice little route, finding any treasure chests as my voice decides to fail me along the way, and or killing any monsters that aren't going to plague you. Now, my final tip when it comes to this really is going to be about that survivability. One of the reasons why I don't recommend Eden's Grove, Great Cleave, or Shattered Mountain tends to be from a leveling perspective, and I would actually point you to Reekwater, Ebonscale, or Morningdale, especially as you get higher up and you're getting closer to 60, is because you still have the town board, you have the faction missions, and you have side quests and more that you can do. You can see here that I still have plenty of side quests and items that I can knock out here in Morningdale. And the reason I pretty much don't is that at level 60, XP doesn't have a lot of value to me, and that's my constant feedback that I provide. But if you do find yourself wanting to push a higher level, and some of the faction quests might actually provide quite a challenge, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. It does not inconvenience. Like if you guys wanted to team up with me and we're like, hey, can you mind helping me out with this quest? It doesn't actually inconvenience me. I'm going to get weapon experience. I'm going to get loot from chests. I'm going to have a good, fun time playing. And so I know there's this mindset that you could be, I could be hurting your experience. That actually doesn't happen in this game. Or you might be, keeping me from doing something that I want to do. And that actually also doesn't happen in this game. It always feels like I'm getting a lot of value no matter what I decide to do. But I think about it in routes. I also think about it in stepping up. So if you find that you're struggling in Eben scale too much in that region, team up with somebody, and that way you're knocking out these quests and also leveling up in the zone. Or don't worry about stepping backwards into a zone that maybe you've out-leveled a little bit, but you can push that zone up in its territory standing. You'll be getting lots of materials and be able to make plenty of money on the market. And then again, every day, be sure to be knocking out those faction missions and then getting your territory standing so you can actually acquire up to 3 houses in this game. With that, that is essentially what I do. That's how I kind of think about it and break it up and make it manageable. And just generally speaking, I ended up just kind of looking at it like, hey, can I get, a couple levels every day? It took me a little while to level because I wasn't actually trying to push it, but ultimately people continue to ask, like, how do I get to 60? I want to be able to step into Brimstone. And that's going to be how you're going to do it. Take advantage of all the things in and make your time between turning in those quests and running around as short as possible, and you're going to find yourself at level 60 before you know it. Anyway, if you have any other tips of your own or thoughts or questions, sound off in the comments. Join us over on Discord. Come check out the podcast Epic Loot Radio. All of that is in the description of this. And if you feel like you want to support this channel, the best way is if you actually have Amazon Prime. You can go over to the Twitch channel that I run with my friend called Work to Game. The Prime sub that you get every month, that Bezos bucks, are a great way of stopping by and just dropping those on and blessing us or blessing somebody else over on Twitch with that each and every month. Spend that Bezos money if you got it. The other best way is also that lurk support and liking these videos. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I believe YouTube here has a couple videos over on its side that it thinks that you might enjoy. Maybe check those out. Maybe check out any other content. Hang out with us in Discord, or we'll just see you hopefully in the next video. But until then, take care.